Welcome, everybody. We're going to just start with something. I want you to take a saturating pause. Just sit where you are as you have been and don't lose that sense of being in edgeless space that you've gained by hearing the music. All this talk is meant to be however long it goes, and if we talk for years, Ellie and I, with everybody, it's all about love. It's only about love, and it's about our relationship and hopefully being an example for you to find more love for yourself. One of the things that's actually very human and very natural is to feel the love in somebody else's heart. And you don't even need to know who they are. It's actually a possibility to just pay attention and tune in and have a feeling of that. And all of our senses count for feeling what love feels like in someone else's heart. So take a moment and think of somebody, whether it's somebody you came with or somebody in Santa Fe, it could be anybody in the world. And just close your eyes and think of that person and imagine just the love of their heart. And then find whatever senses come to you first. I might feel that their love might have a color to it. Maybe it has a fragrance to it. Maybe it has a shape or a texture, a smoothness or a movement. So use all of your senses and just let yourself be filled with all of the qualities that your senses can pick up of the love that's in the heart of someone. And just sit with that for a minute. How did that go for you? You have a sense of that? I see smiles.
It was a true question, wasn't it? How can we not think about Ellie?
Well, you're welcome to, and that's actually one of the ways that I tune into her when I want to, is I just bring in the absolute unique quality of her heart and the love, and then she's right there with me. So this here is, I'm jumping ahead of myself, but I want to show you this. So back in January, I was going to visit a woman named Jackie, and Jackie channels a group called the Mary Group. And the Mary Group has come to Jackie to speak through her to help humans move from practicing separation to being in the true union of ourself with our whole self. And we call that place of our whole self edgelessness. So my wife passed away in August, but in January, before I went to visit Jackie, who is also a painter, Ellie came to her and said, I'm commissioning a painting of Michael and I. So Jackie's kind of used to that. A lot of times when she paints, she's almost like she's in a trance and the painting just shows up and she goes like, whoa, let me step back. What did I just paint? So this was one of those that Ellie was very specific. This is how I want you to paint it. This is what it's going to look like. And this is Ellie's depiction of herself in edgelessness. All of us have a whole self in that place this is not all of who we are. We are a whole self, which is absolute love, absolute truth, absolute timelessness, and connection with everything that exists. And that's our true nature. And on top of that, we have chosen to come on this planet and have a life here. So this side depicts my whole self and my true nature with her, which is also having a conversation, and the face on there showing that I'm also here on the planet as a human as well. And sometimes people look and right away they see, oh, there's another person in between. Well, in any relationship, we always have ourself and the other, and then the quality of that relationship actually creates a third quality or a third being, which has all of the different aspects to it that are the combination of the two in the relationship. So that's included in the painting there. There's sort of two things that Ellie wants everybody to know. I feel like I'm the messenger, so I'm still here left on the planet, but Ellie and I have what we call an agreement. That she passed away in August after 2 years of cancer, and at the very end she said, I know I'm done, I'm going. And after a week of people coming to visit her and rub her feet and say hello or goodbye, on the last day, on August 14th, she just wrote on a piece of paper, I'm going today, here's who can be in the room, and she just went into meditation. And I sat with her in the bed for the day, and in the evening, even before her body stopped breathing, all of a sudden her energy popped out of her body, and I heard her say clear as day in my head, wow, I have a new body, let's start over. Because all of a sudden she was in her whole self and completely conscious and ready to move on and continue our relationship. So we agreed to make a continuing relationship, and we've had conversations through Jackie and the Mary group that they channel with. So Ellie would come and be with the Marys and me, and we would have this three-way conversation. And sometimes Ellie would just take over and say, well, I'm talking now, and Ellie would have a whole discourse to me, and I'll read you one of those as we go along. So that was our agreement, that we're continuing our relationship, and it's a forever relationship. So on the soul level, we are in a state of union. We're with each other all the time, and we have our adventures. The quality of edgelessness, which is where her being is timeless, infinite space, infinite nature, infinite creation, infinite beings, infinite love. It's formless and formed at the same time. It's the colors and the qualities and the textures and the movement and anything you imagine you could find in nature, those qualities are there too. All of consciousness is in this place of edgelessness. And so we're meeting in that place, and then we're also agreeing that my body is available to her. So she was like, wow, you mean I get to still be on the planet? Because she really loved to be on the planet. That was one of her favorite things. In our garden, we have a 20 by 75 garden, and she lived in there, and she was with the devas and the spirits and the fairies and the earth. And now she gets to continue with that because she can be in my body. I do chiropractic and other natural medicine. I'm a physician. So she actually comes into my body when I'm working on somebody, and we're both there working on the person. And sometimes her hands are in my hands and we're both participating that way, or she may be in the body somewhere else. I want to just ask one more sort of experiment. We go farther, because this word that I've already used, edgelessness, as in a sense a place of where Ellie's beingness is and all consciousness is. How would you, if you think about that word, what feelings or ideas or senses come up to you for that. It's impossible to fully describe it. There is no right or wrong. But so, yeah, what?
I like spacious.
Spacious. Me too.
I would describe it as a time that's not a time and a space that's not a space, but all time and all space.
Uh-huh. Any other feelings that come up about it?
I think about waves like the ocean.
Pardon?
I think about waves like the ocean.
Oh, how
And like
lovely.
there's a shore that's edgelessness, but there's also the water.
Mm-hmm. When I was, oh, but yeah,
It sounds like no boundaries, no limits.
exactly. Absolutely none of any sort.
No edge.
There's no sense of any edge to anything, right? Everything is possible, and it's all in love. So it's a word that I'll use a lot because to me, it's nebulous enough that there's no limitation to it, and it can include all of what you can imagine and more. So let's let it be with that so far. So the two parts that Ellie wants to really talk about, she was so excited that now being in this edgeless state, she's in her whole self, and all of us in our whole self have absolute love, absolute wisdom. We can understand things at a way that you never could being in a human body. And she is so excited to share what has come to her since she left her body, because she has so much realization. And she goes like, you humans, there's so much more, and why are you living the way you are? So when she was in a body, she had a Catholic background, and she had senses of shame and guilt and judgment that she carried with her in some level most of her life, even to the very end. And all of a sudden afterwards, not being in a body, she realized none of that exists. Those are all human made up things. They're not real at all. And that was the first thing she said. You go and tell all those people, no more shame, no more shoulds, no more blame, no more judgment. So there's a quality of absolute allowing, absolute unconditionality, absolute love, which is our true nature. And all of you who have a whole self, which is in these same spaces where Ellie is, that's your true nature. And the more you can connect with that in union, so you're not separated from who you are, but you have this life, and you also have a connection to your whole self. In that connection, it's always available to have a sense of that whole love and the truth and fearlessness. So in allowing yourself to release judgment and shame and blame and shoulds, it's a choice. And what she would like you to choose, and our experience for our two of us, is to live and love fearlessly. So there's a lot of fear on this planet, and of course we all know lately there's even more and more stirring up of fears. And to absolutely have the choice in every moment, I can choose to live love first. So love never has to go away. We have so many aspects of ourselves, and it can be frustration and impatience and all the things that make us uncomfortable or sad or grieving or angry. All of that's there too. And above and beyond all of that is love. And we never have to choose to put love aside for anything. And if we always choose for love first, and for ourselves in the love first, then everything else that comes along will have its place and will be absorbed and carried and contained and shifted by the love that we're choosing. So love is one of those most important things, and that was for Ellie and I, our life was an example of love. we both had marriages for 20 years and each 2 children before we got together. And when we chose to be with each other, we chose that our life would be an example of love for everybody. And we're still living that way. We feel like our love now is still an example. And not that we want anybody to be like us. We don't want to say this is the way. There is no the answer. There is no the way. But what we wish is that perhaps if our love is so strong and so clear and so fearless, and also connecting the edgeless spaces with being on the planet, that can be an inspiration for all of us to find our own way and choose our own love. So the other part of it, of course, is obviously I'm talking about Ellie as if she's still here and she's not in a body anymore. This whole room is packed. Ellie is here. The Marys are here. Ellie has so many friends in these timeless, edgeless spaces, and they're all here too. They're all hanging out with her and supporting her, and they're supporting all of you for being here. And then you all have your guides and friends and beings, and just because they're not in physical form, you can feel them. Maybe you have sometimes. And if you haven't, I'd invite you to ask. Asking is one of the most wonderful things that we as humans can do. And if we ask with openness and ask with curiosity, and we allow whatever comes to come to us, then that asking leaves all possibility. And because all these other beings are with us all the time, Ellie says, it's not a here and a there, it's just this. This is it. It's all here. We could touch Ellie right there. She can be everywhere she wants to be. But she's definitely with us right now. So one of the most important fears that people have, which she would like to help to dissolve, is fear of death. And for her to be able to come back and be here with all of us and at the moment speak through me or speak through the Marys and be able to impart her the wisdom that she has and the humor that she has and the amazing life and beingness that continues for her, and to tell all of you this is the life of all of us. It's all going on all the time, and everyone who has passed is living in this state of love and truth and connection and union all the time, timelessly, forever. So if we can take that in and allow that, that really, really is an amazing thing to help us shift, to let go of fear and to live simply that way. She had a quote. I have to read it for you. She said, tell people they can all rest in the love and feel safe. So she was always like, let's keep it real simple. Here's a concise something boldly to say. Just tell them that. So that was one of the things. If you have someone that has passed and you have an interest in connecting with them, you can do that. And one of the most valuable things that we have as humans is our breath. We have an inhale and an exhale, and that breath has never been here before. Every inhale and exhale is absolutely brand new. You breathe in and you've never taken that breath before, and you breathe out and you've never taken that exhale before. And that breath crosses over. It's not just here. It's influencing and participating with your whole self in that edgelessness. And it's also a way of connecting. So when I want to participate with Ellie and I say, Ellie, let's get together and I want to ask you questions, or I want you to participate in here's what I'm doing, let's get together. I can actually use my breath and connect with her. And you can do that with any loved one, whether they're in a body or have passed on. Not because you're making them connect with you, but because you're allowing the possibility of that connection. The other participant is always their choice in whether they do with you. So it's Ellie's choice whether she wants to connect with me. She has her own life, her own being, which is a continuing becoming all the time. But I will exhale and I will feel and imagine that as I exhale, Ellie is inhaling my breath. And then as I inhale, I imagine and feel that I am inhaling Ellie's breath. And that sharing completely crosses between this physical existence and edgelessness. So I can connect with Ellie and I can breathe her in and I can feel her. And I can also do the exercise we did before. I can tune into the love of her heart and I can feel the exquisite, unique quality and all of the colors and textures and flowers and scent that exist within that nature of her heart and take that in too. And then there we are together. One of the things that we're working on is clarity of speech. So in the edgeless spaces, there really isn't words. They don't use human language. It's like you just know. They do have a quality of language, but if we call it language, it's not like words are static symbols and mean something and we can find that same word. It's a quality of the sound current. So in the edgeless spaces, she can create sound, she can create anything. But in creating sound as an expression of communication, all the beings in consciousness which are sharing her experience, she can communicate with them through that quality of ever new and becoming sound. But on this level, because my mind works with words and I want to hear her tell me things, I can sit down and I'll say, well, Ellie, tell me about this or that, or let me hear what you want to say. And words will just pop into my head and all of a sudden it's something new and she'll tell me funny things. So sometimes it's really funny. So I was flying to Maui and Ellie used to live on Maui. So she loves Maui. And so I said, okay, this is your trip. You tell me what you want to do. And I was on the airplane flying over there. So I got out a pen and paper and I said, what do you want to do? Give me a list. So she said, I want to walk on the beach with my friend Jan. Tell her I'm sorry I'm not in a body, but I'm actually more present than I ever was. She said, it used to be if I was there, I would be in a body and I could only be in wherever my body was. She said, now I can be on the whole island all at once. And then she joked, I want to get a tan. And she said, oh, I need a new visor, because she always bought a visor in Maui. So she's always funny no matter what. But she did also say, I want to go to the Poli forest. And so I wrote that down, and it turned out we'd never been there, she and I. And the Poli forest is on Maui, and it's up on the side of the crater Haleakala, and it's a eucalyptus forest. And in fact, you can only drive on that road with a 4-wheel drive, which I didn't have. I had a Malibu rental car. So I was driving up and the road was really bad, and I said, Ellie, I've never been on this road before. She said, well, I have. So I kept going. I ended up burning out the brakes. The engine light was on forever after that, the rest of my rental. But I didn't break it permanently. And we got to the forest and she stopped us in our tracks. I was with her best friend, Jan. she stopped us in her tracks because this mist came in the forest, and it stayed there for a half an hour, and it was just incredibly beautiful. And that was one of her qualities that she has, and she told me, is that she has a quality of mist about her, which means that mist can penetrate anything. It's not hot or cold, but it can move into any space and permeate it and infuse it with its nature. And so Ellie has that ability in these edgeless spaces to move into us and infuse us with the love that she carries, which is really amazing. So we got to the Poli forest, and then I had ashes of hers from her cremation, and I went there. I dug a hole and I put the ashes in there, and then she said, "See, I told you I was always made of dirt," because she always was in the garden. And now, instead of just putting her hands in the garden, she says she can be the garden. So she loves to just put her whole consciousness within the entire earth and feel as if she is the whole earth of the garden itself. So we've had those little conversations like that. And then just lately, our conversations and her ability to communicate and to move it with words from edgelessness have become more and more potent. And so she gave a whole discourse of 5 or 10 minutes, and I want to read part of it to you because it's about holiness. I'll read it and then we can talk about it. The rebirthing of the truth of holiness. Rebirthing and the relief of hierarchy and measurement that holiness got tangled in. Not as it's been decided or assigned or even withheld. Holy can't be contained. It can't be required. It's a truth. The grace and the truth and the real and the wholeness of holy. The freedom and the truth is that it opens everything when you remember holiness. Your own and that of everything that exists. You don't earn it or strive for it. It's the absoluteness of existence. It's through fear that anyone tries to own or hold or assign or keep for themselves or even decide for another. This truth of the purity of love that is of loving, that is holy. It can't be owned. It's the ofness of every being. When you bring that into relationship with yourself, when you bring that into your relationship with how you live and into all your exchanges, then remember, holy is not apart from you, it's what you are. And then bring that holiness into the exchange of relationship, into the gaze, into the presence, in the received and the receiving, and our breath that moves together and gains only more of what it actually is if people could breathe that breath. Then she was making a joke. Yeah, there's two holies. There's holy and holy, like Holly. So the holiness is the love and the truth of who you are, which nobody can take away from you and nobody can define from you. And it is the absoluteness of who you are all the time. And you can tune into that and find that inside yourself and be that and honor it and let it come forth and be it ahead of anything because you are holy. And then bring that holiness into relationship and know that every single other person is holy too. Just like we did in the beginning when we were finding somebody's heart. And you can, in that pause, when you meet somebody, just find the heart of them and find the holiness of them before even anything is exchanged. All of that is there. And the holy HOLLY part is that this whole experience of being a human being, of being in a human body which looks like it's separate, and it looks like everything is disconnected, and we're one and somebody else is another, and we have to meet each other in these separate ways. That's all a practice from our mind. It's a practice that comes from how we've all learned and got used to doing things and is passed on from generation to generation. The truth in any moment is that you can choose actually the holy part, the WHOLLY part also, that the whole self of you is always there for relationship. And the whole self of you acknowledges and loves you for who you are. You're not less than. It's not a higher self. It's just all of you, which is also containing this part of you, which is having a human experience. And in the same way as I was talking about inhaling and exhaling someone who has passed, or inhaling and exhaling the breath of someone who's here, you can do that with the wholeness of yourself. And inhale, and it's asking, let me ask to feel that wholeness of me, and inhale the wholeness of me, and exhale to the wholeness of me, and I am there, I am here, because it's all this at the same time. And take it in that way. I had a most wonderful experience that Ellie, she loves to wake me up at 3 a.m. She says, I'm more accessible that way. So wake up, I have something for you to do. So it could be reading a book, or she wants me to write a poem, or sometimes she has me get up and rearrange the paintings and the furniture. But in this particular instance, she said, okay, now you're awake. Look, this painting is up in our bedroom. She said, look at the painting. I don't want you to look at it as if we're looking at it from the front and Michael and Ellie are side by side. Turn it in my mind and see myself seeing her. Now I'm in relation with her as that she is her wholeness and I am my wholeness. And then I moved completely into the experience of the wholeness of me, which is always there all the time in relationship with her and with relationship with everything in existence. And in that experience of being the wholeness of me, I could turn my attention to this human life that I'm having now. And it was so fascinating to have this whole self view, this loft view of myself as a human life and what that looks like. And it had a whole different character to it. This human life is very artistic and it has things that it's interested in. And the whole self is much more expansive and wise. And in fact, since I've been practicing that more and more, I've gone into the true home of me. We all have a sense of what feels like home to us. And my sense of home is stillness. Ellie had me get up to write this poem a couple days ago, so she wanted me to read it to you. And it's because if we look at this, Ellie has qualities of her and things that she wants to impart and offer to you. And then we have the relationship of the two of us, which is existing in edgelessness and also existing here on the human physical reality. But I also have the quality of me, and I bring that to our relationship, and I'm going to bring a little bit of it to you today. So this is how I wake up every morning. I awake in the stillness. My mind notices quiet, a hush. I move. The air is thick with possibility. There's nothing else really. Everything my eyes gaze on, just an image, less than itself. Then a note of real, a flower, a song, and I burst forth into birth out of the stillness I am, into all of oneness, forever here, this always being, and for the very first time. Arising in a sob, my cry of recognition, a simultaneous awakening every morning. So I wake up and I'm in this stillness, and I'm also here in this physical realm, and I know that there's more because my experience is more and more being in edgelessness and being here. And one of the things that triggers that for me, which was so fun lately, and again I offer it to you as an experience, is that there's this wonderful orchid that I have on the desk in the bedroom. And I did the same thing with that orchid that I was offering to you. I looked at the orchid and I inhaled the quality of the orchid, and then I exhaled my breath back to the orchid, and I experienced as I'm loving the orchid is loving me. And I'm sitting in the love of the orchid. And then I asked, let me be with you in your true nature, in your edgeless nature, because all of nature, all the plant consciousness, all the animals, all have a self and a consciousness in edgelessness. So I sat with this orchid, and I, instead of using my looking eyes and seeing it, I kind of closed my eyes and I just felt I was looking at the orchid in this vast, edgeless spaces. And the orchid became so huge. It was like a 100-foot wide giant orchid. And I was there with it in this edgelessness. And all of a sudden, the most amazing scent took me over. And I couldn't believe it, because orchids really don't smell. But it was all of a sudden this strongest scent. It was like there was 2 different orchids in this pot. So there was this 2 different, for me, it smelled like tropical, but not like any tropical I had ever smelled before. It was definitely this orchid's tropical scent. And it came from edgelessness, but because our senses also cross over. We think, our senses are, taste, smell, touch, and whatever else it is. What are the others? Seeing, smelling. So hearing, yes. So they're not just this senses that we think they're so small. All of those senses, you can practice moving them into edgelessness. And again, it's just asking it and allowing it to happen, and being curious and being patient and allowing it to show up in its own way. And so when I did that with the orchid, it was just the most amazing experience. So every morning when I wake up and everything is quiet and I'm in the stillness, it's like the stillness before existence itself. And then I'll put on music, and just the sound of that one song, or looking at an orchid and feeling the love of the orchid, and it just awakens me completely into the love and the edgelessness. And then everything is alive, and everything's a part of everything. I wanted to open time for questions. Yeah.
How are you feeling now that prior to her passing, and where you are now? When we're talking about edgelessness or expansiveness, were you experiencing that while she was still on this planet?
I had always an experience of edgelessness, but it was always very nebulous, because it never was in relationship to anybody. It was in relationship to stillness, to the love that is all of existence, to the stillness and the love that creates everything, and feeling the everything. And it was always a sense of being alone. I am that, and I am me, and there was never anybody else there. So that changed completely. And now Ellie and I are sort of switched positions, because I was in that, and Ellie was so happy being in the body and loving everything that she loved about the earth, knowing that it was living in spirit and nature and she could connect with it and be a part of it. And now she's in the edgelessness, and I'm promising to be, as much as I can, experiencing what physical reality is like in combination with edgelessness, because it's really all in union. There's really no separation. So it's so differing for me, actually. And I'm having to practice being more edgeless in order to meet her. But she doesn't have any problem coming down into being physical at all, because it's all right here. And she can also be in my body, and she can look through my eyes and feel through my hands and taste what I'm eating and all of that too.
Does she ever speak about other loved ones that she's met on the other side?
She has, but it hasn't been a main point of her being there, because she's a very, her interest through her life with me and being very spiritual and wanting to explore the vastness of everything. The relatives that she had, there was one person that she actually spoke about in great detail, because it was someone she knew as a teenager, and that teenager had passed away when she was at that age. And she actually went and found him and wanted to reconnect, and it was just love. So that was wonderful for her to have that experience. And she is still feeling her family here and connecting with everybody. A lot of her friends say they see her all the time. That was a fun thing. I was sitting on the couch with a friend who's known her for many, many, many years. And all of a sudden, Ellie came into her mind and said, look up, look up. And look up at what? There's a heart. And so she was looking around on our ceiling, and all of a sudden it was there. There was this heart. And I had never seen it. It was a cutout in the wood beam. And from where she was sitting, it was an absolute perfect heart. But in living in the house 27 years, I had never noticed it. But Ellie noticed it, not from being in a body. She noticed it from being in edgelessness and told Kim to look at it. And so then we both saw it. It was so funny. The Mary group, Ellie is in contact with regularly, because not only is she there because she can speak with them and have that conversation with me, but also because they are so wise and so helpful. And they're our dearest friends. Even though they're non-physical, to me, I don't have a closer friend than the Mary group, because they absolutely understand me in every way possible. And I'm so grateful for them. I want to, before anybody starts leaving, let you know these books were channeled by the Mary group. The first one there is each page, just like a morning message. It's just a paragraph, and they're so profound and fun and loving and joyful and making you curious in one way or another. I read that 1 or 2 times a day, and there's always something in there that uplifts me. This blue book here is conversations with the Mary group, so that there will be a particular topic. Somebody will say, you know, my marriage isn't going well, and here's this or that, and what can I do? And they will help the person to look at their life experience from the love of themselves, from the love of relationship, and from their whole self. And the teachings in that are really, really profound too. So I highly recommend either of those. I also put charts back there if you want to use your phone and take a picture of it. It lists I think it lists these books, but it also lists the website for the Mary group. If you go on there, there's a link that says Mary TV. And if you click on that, there's like just 15 or 20-minute videos of Jackie channeling the Marys on a particular topic, and you can just choose whatever topic you're interested in and listen to them talk for 20 minutes. And they're so wise and so loving and encouraging. It's wonderful if you can have that opportunity. Also, on the top of those pages, Ellie and I, since we're doing this every month, we're going to have a YouTube channel. This video that we're having will be included on the YouTube channel so people can watch it once it's going. It's not up yet, but it will be soon. We'll have a linked Facebook page for that, and then Ellie's writings, because there's many more, will go on there. The things that she has to say and share, and my writings as well. So, yes.
Did the Marys come to you after Ellie passed?
So Jackie's been channeling them for 25 years. Ellie and I used to have occasional sessions with the Marys when we were in body. And when Ellie was sick, because she had cancer for 2 years, she would maybe every 3 or 4 months or half a year have a session with them just to say, what can I do? What else is there? Do you have any ideas for me? Or here's how I'm feeling. How can I consciously feel better even though my body's feeling poorly? So we knew them, but we didn't have that personal relationship. It was more for information and help and guidance. And after Ellie passed, then I went to them and said, well, Mary Group, since you channel through Jackie, what about Ellie wanting to connect with me? And then that started the whole thing.
I see.
Yeah. And now we talk every 2 weeks, but we're also talking on our own.
Every 2 weeks?
Because like you can do sessions.
We do a set. Ellie and I and the Marys have an hour session where we talk with each other every 2 weeks.
I see.
And then besides that, I talk to Ellie every day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I figured that.
How did the writings get written? I mean, how did you translate?
So, if Ellie's saying something to me during the session with the channeling with the Marys, then that all gets recorded, and my friend River Lark in the back there transcribes it for me. So that all gets written down word for word. Every 2 weeks, we have an entire hour transcript of Ellie talking with me and the Marys talking with the two of us. Besides that, I will just sit down like I did yesterday, and I'll say, Ellie, talk to me. And I might ask her a particular topic, and she'll just start telling me. I'll hear it in my head. It'll be the entire sentence all at once. It's not like somebody speaking in their words. It's just knowing. But it comes out as words. And sometimes she's funny. She teases me. Or she'll give me a straight answer, or she'll say, that's enough for now. So it's like a regular conversation. And what we're working towards is that it'll be more like she's just in my head and we're just talking back and forth constantly. So it's getting there. And so we look forward to that, but it's working pretty well so far.
This might be way off base. Does she have any advice or healing words for what's going on in the world?
I'm going to try and just sort of say it as she's saying it. Well, the world is already really changing, and the whole point of the world changing is that you can live in the love and you can live in your whole self just like I am. So and meaning Ellie, she's saying that. So all of the discomfort and all of the fear is arising because it's coming apart and it's falling apart and it's not real. None of this reality, which is constantly changing, is really real. And it's exquisite. So I'm jumping off the track for myself to say, even when she looked back at her 2 years of being in cancer and falling apart and being not able to do anything, from the whole self of her, life is so exquisite. However awful it may seem to be, however painful or however mean or whatever is going on, the exquisiteness that's possible of being in a human life and living on the planet is just unbelievable. So that is always available to us. And if we put our attention on love, love is more powerful than anything else. So if somebody is living in fear and we're feeling their fear, well, then we're feeling fear. That's where we're at. If anybody is feeling anything, and we can first feel the love inside of ourselves no matter what, all the time. All of the rest can be there, but the love is always first, and it's always more powerful than anything else. And that is what is moving all of humanity. That's why we're sitting here and we can do this. That's why other people want to listen to this or listen to anybody talk about love or positive things or change, or that we're all becoming more of who we really are. We're all becoming connected. We're all becoming a part of the one. And we know that that's true, and we feel that inside of ourselves, and more people are noticing that. That's what it's really all about. Yeah. And she just wants to say, tell everybody I turned on my invisibility cloak. So it's just that simple. We're all here all the time. To be continued.
What is the name of your instrument?
It's called, in the South India it's called tambura, and in North India it's called tanpura. It's a drone instrument, and it's a background sound instrument for all of Indian music. So this one is tuned to C, and it has a G string, and it just plays that sound constantly in the background. And then whether I would play my sitar or somebody will have a sarod or a flute or anything else, the instrument with the melodies or the singing is always in the front, and this is in the background sound.
So that's not what, or is that what Ravi Shankar used?
He would have 2 or 3 people sitting behind him playing this, so it was constantly giving this background sort of hum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Uh-huh. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Wow.